Hi, I'm Alex Regg and welcome to Pulling Focus. Today we're going to have a look at Robert Zemeckis' film Allied, a golden age of Hollywood-style war epic alongside Alfred Hitchcock's classic spy thriller Notorious. Starring Brad Pitt and Marion Cotillard, Allied is the kind of film that Hollywood used to make pretty regularly. You know the type. Period, spectacle, wonderful costumes, peril and romance in times of war. Hey, it even starts out in Casablanca. Today though, the audience for romance and spectacle war films is not quite as guaranteed, and the large budgets are a little bit risky, so we only tend to get one of these every couple of years. Allied is part war film, part romance, and part domestic thriller. All of these qualities are ones that it shares with Notorious. Notorious was made in 1946 and stars another cinematic super pairing, Cary Grant and Ingrid Bergman. In the film, like in Allied, the couple play spies who fall in love, although in this case they are chasing after Nazis in South America, right after the war ends. Where both films get really interesting is in the relationship of the main characters. Sure, there's a noble fight going on in the world, but what a wartime struggle really does is put a giant magnifying glass up to love and make us question how the relationship of two people can hold up against cataclysmic world events.
Someday you'll understand that. Now.
Both films are meditations on love and loyalty in romantic relationships. Trust, distrust, and suspicion. Loyalty to your nation versus loyalty to your lover. And so the big question in Allied becomes, can Brad Pitt actually trust his super spy wife, Marion Cotillard? Is his wife feeding information to the Nazis, or is the whole thing just some kind of big test for his new promotion? This is a fascinating conundrum. A husband who loves and trusts his wife, but his country is telling him otherwise. And what's her motivation? After all, he's seen her bravely murdering Nazis firsthand.
What are our odds?
Surviving, 60-40.
In Notorious, Cary Grant falls in love with Ingrid Bergman, a girl trying to escape the legacy of a Nazi father. But, just as things really heat up between them, Grant is ordered to convince her to marry the dastardly, Nazidly Claude Rains. Talk about being sent back to the wolves. Ingrid is such a good sport and so in love with Cary that she agrees, which sets up a mirror situation to the one in Allied, because she suddenly is a spy, married to a Nazi husband who loves her and doesn't suspect a thing. But she has to be careful not to tip him off to the truth, or even worse, his terrifying mother.
She will learn nothing further to inform. She must go, but it must happen slowly. If she could become ill, and remain ill for a time, until...
Talk about a sacrifice for your country. Ingrid is sleeping with the enemy, just so she can feed back information to Cary, who doesn't have to sleep with Nazis, Grant. Although, I can think of someone we could match him up with, to even up the sacrifice. In terms of tension, both films build to a crescendo by having husbands test their wives in small ways to detect their fidelity. High stakes are on the line when it comes to missing keys and piano pieces. Not to mention the romance angle, where both films have kissing scenes that are used as setups to distract people from spying activities. Is there no sacrifice our noble heroes won't make?
Now kiss me.
I'm gonna kiss you.
No, he'll only think we...
That's what I want him to think.
If you want some romance, tension, and some war spectacle to go along with old-fashioned stomping of Nazis, Allied is the film for you. Speaking of Nazi stomping, it's kind of a pity we don't have time machines yet, because Brad Pitt is trying to single-handedly prove that he's the man we should send back in time to deal with the Nazi menace.
We ain't in the prisoner-taking business. We in the killing Nazi business. And cousin, business is booming.
Fun fact, Cary Grant would have been way better to send back. Or wait, we don't need to. Cary Grant was a real-life spy and a Nazi hunter. He spent the war years making movies and hunting Nazi sympathisers in Hollywood, while working hand in hand with British MI6. His chief contact was the playwright Noel Coward. Oh, and one of the Nazi sympathisers he outed was the Aussie actor Errol Flynn. Shame on you, Robin Hood. Bonus anti-Nazi points? Cary donated his entire salary from the Philadelphia story to the British War Relief and the Red Cross. And you know what he did when he found out that money was stolen? He donated his entire salary from Arsenic and Old Lace too. Take that, Mr. Pitt.
Hey, what happened to my kiss?